I have Cael with me, and we're going to share a little bit of his story today. And I'm just super excited because he has such a great heart and just really loves the Lord. And so, yeah. So Cael, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you're doing now?
Okay. Well, hello. Like Kennedy said, my name is Cael. I grew up in Chase County, Kansas, so not too far from where we're at now. Yeah. And then I graduated from Chase County High School, and now I'm in my second year at Emporia State. I study earth science, and I want to be a missionary and use my degree in that field. So that's what I'm doing now. And
super cool.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you want to be a missionary. Now, what did it look like getting to that process? Getting to this point?
Yeah.
What that process look
like? Okay. Well, I haven't always wanted to be a missionary. Mm-hmm. And I know that some people, they say, yeah, from the time I was 6 years old, I wanted to be a missionary. And I wish that were true for me, but it was not true for me. Mm-hmm. I grew up, and through most of my life, I believe I was a Christian in that I believed in God, but I wasn't a follower. I was a fan, and I was completely comfortable with just being in the stands and cheering Jesus on. I would never ever dream of actually getting out on the field and doing something for him. And the time when he changed my heart was the time that it really became real to me, and I wanted to do everything. I couldn't ever dream of having a faith that wouldn't want to be on the field. And so since that time, and we can talk about that, since that moment, I wanted to live sold out for him.
So let's talk about that aha moment, the moment with Jesus where you knew you wanted to be sold out. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll talk about something that leads up into that moment.
Perfect.
So like I said, I grew up, and I was able to go to lots of different church camps. My parents took me to church, and I grew up like a lot of you guys might have grown up. And that Christianity was just something that I was just like, yeah, I'm a Christian. Of course, what else would I be? But I would never ever dream of making it any more than that. And really, looking back, I was very self-centered, and I really had goals of my own, and it was almost like God was a means to help me earn those goals. I wanted to be really, really good at football, and I'd earn God's favor to win those close football games or something like that. And that just breaks my heart, because that was such a wrong view of who he is. And if he hadn't intervened, I would still be there. Still believing that, but thankfully by his grace alone, he made a change in my heart. So, like I said, I went to several church camps growing up, and it was always a very emotional experience, but I'd go there, I'd say I'd make a commitment, and then immediately I'd come back, and about a week later, I would lose my Bible somewhere in my room, and that'd be it.
Come on, Jesus time.
And I'd go back to doing whatever I'd be doing, and choosing other things other than him, because it was really an emotional high, and then just nothing else. And that was the way, and I was comfortable with that. I was genuinely comfortable with that. And coming into the very end of my sophomore year of high school, so I was doing some things that I was searching for popularity, and that led me to party, to go out, to change the way I talked, change my friend group, change the decisions that I made, all to be popular, to be liked, to be loved, to be cool. And I found myself falling deeper and deeper into this. And by the end of my sophomore year of high school, I had been a starting quarterback. Things were working out, and I had felt so empty inside. And I remember being at a time, it had been a few months since I had prayed even at all. And sometimes, during that time, I would say, throw up a prayer to God at the end of my day, appreciate you, God. But it wasn't even that anymore. It was nothing. It was complete silence. And he was truly just the God of emergencies, and he can be so much more than that. But for for my time right there, he was just the God of emergencies. Something was happening, then I'd pray. Other than that, I wouldn't. And God has a way of working, and he works in people's lives in all different kinds of ways. And the way he chose to work in my life was to reveal my heart posture and where I really was at through seeing another person and how they walked. And so I ended up going to an art festival at the end of my sophomore year. They had these workshops, and I ended up walking into the wrong workshop. And they're about an hour long. And I stood across from a girl there. And I was in a relationship at the time, and it wasn't on my mind to be looking for someone to date or anything like that. But something about her completely stumped me. And she just confused me in the way that she talked and the way that her eyes looked. Like, she just looked like she was so full of life, and I had no idea what it was. And so at the end, after talking with her throughout the hour and just having these conversations that confused me, like I was just like, what is going on? Yeah. I asked her, like, hey, I would like to know more about you. Can I get your number? And I began to text her and just ask her questions like, who are you? And like, what is your passion? Yeah. And she made it very known that she was for Jesus, and that she was a daughter of the King. Yeah. And that above all else, like, before she said, like, I'm a freshman at Linden High School, or like anything, or like anything else, she said, I'm a daughter of the King, and I want to be a missionary when I grow up, and like, I want to live sold out for him in everything that I do. Yeah. And that answer, I remember reading that text and thinking, well, that's not normal. Like that was quite the answer. Like, and I felt like so convicted, and it was Jesus he was so gentle in that moment, but like at the same time it was so powerful. I thought, like, holy smokes, where is my heart? Like, is my heart in that same even ballpark? Like, she's living and Jesus is number one. And I've said he is, but he is definitely not. And so that was kind of like a reality check for me. And like I said, it was God's grace. And so, like, the more that I asked her questions, and the more that, like, she said, like, it's not a religion, it's a relationship with Jesus. Like, she pushed me towards asking him the questions. She didn't try and answer them all. She just said, oh, why don't you just pray and ask Jesus and talk to him? And I look at this time in my life, and like, it's such a God time, because my heart posture was completely far from him, and where I was at was nowhere near pursuing him, and yet my heart was drawn to him by him. And so that led me in between my sophomore and junior year to my aha moment. And so it was at church camp again, a church camp called Super Summer in Salina, which is so great. And I ended up going with my group of friends, and I believe it was on a Wednesday afternoon, and the camp pastor had been preaching, and he preached about I believe it's Matthew 10. I could be wrong, but it's the verse that Jesus God is talking about those in the last days that say, Father, we have done all these things in your name. Like, we have cast out demons in your name. We have prophesied in your name. We've healed in your name. These amazing things. And he says, like, depart from me, for I never knew you. And there was that moment when I was like, I want to know him. Like, I don't want to get to that time and for him to just say, Cael, you were there. You were so close. Like, but I can't let you in because I never knew you. And so at the very end, he extended the invitation. If you feel called to, just come up to the altar and lay your life down, and someone will meet you there, and we'll pray, and we'll make a decision for him. And I remember, like, standing up, and I was like the first person to stand up, and like walking out into the aisle, and like thinking, like, halfway down the aisle, like, what am I doing? Like, everyone is looking at me. But I like didn't care. Like, I was like so ready for it. And so like just getting there and finally saying yes to him, just laying my life down, and all these pieces came together. And from that point on, like defining myself, like I've always defined myself as a Christian, but really it was something that I meant. Like, I am a follower of Christ. And that aha moment really came.
It's never going back moment.
Never going back. Like, this is it. Like I am sold out. And that thing that I saw in Abby is the girl that I met. Like, I remember texting her like the next morning, like, I have the thing that you have, like Jesus, like I can see like my like heart has changed. Like,
no, that's funny that you actually say that, because I was sitting here this whole time while you were talking, and I was just thinking like, wow, like you have that same life just like flowing out of you, that same look in your eyes that I believe that you saw in Abby all those years ago. And that's just so cool how Jesus works and how he does that, how that was what you first noticed about her, and now I just like, that's just like gushing out of you now. And so that's super cool.
It is really cool.
But, so after your never going back moment, I'm sure there are a lot of other processes with the Lord. And
so many other amazing moments with him.
But what does your walk with him now look like?
Well, my walk with him now is really, is really cool. It's hard to explain, but he's like my master, and he is the one that I serve. And Paul says that at the beginning of almost all of his letters, he says like, I'm Paul, like a slave to Christ. Like, and so like for us, like we are like slaves to him, like he is our king, and we will be obedient to him. But also Jesus says to his disciples, like, no longer call me master, like call me friend. And so like he is like my friend and my dearest friend, and the one that I love more than anything. And that when there's ever a thing, I want to take it to him. A good thing, a bad thing, just a regular thing. Like, I want to take those things to him and talk to him and commune with him, because he is my best friend and he loves me. And so like, it's that really cool, like, dynamic. It's like, he is my master, he is my king, but he is a king that is worthy to be trusted. And he is someone that I choose to be my best friend. And so walking with him now is growing in my friendship, growing in my knowledge of him, and how to show him, and growing in my heart knowledge of him, and really knowing him. I do a lot of things with youth group, and pouring into the youth. I love the youth, especially those guys who are at the stage that I'm at, that I used to be at. That's making, I mean, because you choose your identity. I mean, you choose your identity around this age, like high school, middle school, college. Like, kids are choosing who they are going to be for the rest of their life, and I want them to choose Jesus, because he's the best. Like, he's gonna never disappoint them. And so
good.
Pouring into their lives and sharing my testimony, and I relate to them in so many ways, and just letting them know that like he is indeed worth it.
So one last question for you. What would you say to somebody who might be watching this, who's kind of like not for sure about this whole Jesus thing, and who he really is? What would you say to that person?
I would say that I've been there, and I've been very unsure of Christ, and for a lot of my life I was very unsure about him, and I chased lots of things. And popularity, and lust, and pride, and all these rooted sins in me, and so many idols that I've had in my life. And I will say that none of them satisfy. And if you find yourself, like I found myself at the end of my sophomore year, completely empty. And at the end of the day, I look at myself in the mirror and think, what am I living for? Everything disappoints, nothing satisfies. If you find yourself there, I get it. But like take heart, because there is someone who made you, and who made you for purpose, and who made your heart to be satisfied by him. And Psalm 16:11 says, at my right hand are pleasures forevermore, and in my presence there are, what is it?
There's fullness of joy.
Fullness of joy.
Yeah.
Yes. I might have mixed that around, but fullness of joy and pleasures forevermore are in his presence.
Yeah.
And so like that's a promise. Like you can stand on that. And no one has ever said, man, you know, I became a Christian and sold my entire life out for Christ and I completely regret it. Like no one has ever said that, because, you know, you start chasing him, you start giving everything to him, and you know, you find yourself saying, this is the greatest decision I have ever made, because my heart is full, not based off of any numbers or standards or anything. It is full because of him. Not because I meet the standard, but because I know him.
Because you know him.
And so I would say that it's worth it to follow him. And if you're wrestling with that, like, give Jesus a chance. Really give him a chance. And because only he can show your heart his true beauty, and only he can pull you to himself. And just pray that prayer. Say, God, like, I'm curious. I see all these people, and they have a love for you that confuses me. They have a light about them that I don't understand. Please reveal in my heart the beauty of who you are, and that I may know you. And I believe that he will. So that's what I would say.
That's super good. Okay, well, thank you, Cael, for coming on Stories of Jesus and Me. And I love your story, and it's been so good talking to you. And just thank you for coming and sharing with everybody on here today. So
of course, this is fun. And if you guys want to like ask me more questions, you could like put my number or something in the link or something.
I'll put
you guys can
details.
My deets. You guys can just text me, and I would love that. I would love that. So and all glory to God. Like, this is not a Cael story. This is a Jesus story.
So much for tuning in to Stories of Jesus and Me. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the next videos coming up. And thank you for watching.